Get comfortable with English in comfort. This is your English listening practice podcast to help you learn and improve naturally.
Hey, Leah. It's been a while since we sat down and just talked. How have you been?
I've been good, just busy with work and all that. You know how it is. What about you?
Same here. But I've been trying to make some time for myself lately. You know, doing things I enjoy.
Oh, that's nice. Like what?
Well, just little things. Reading mostly. I've gotten into thrillers lately. Keeps me on edge. What about you? What do you do when you have some free time?
Free time feels rare these days. But when I do, I usually end up baking. It's kind of my go-to hobby.
Oh, really? What do you bake?
Mostly simple stuff, cookies, muffins. But I've been experimenting lately. Last week I tried making macarons.
Macarons? Wow, that sounds tricky. How did they turn out?
Honestly, a bit of a disaster. Half of them cracked in the oven and the rest were just not pretty. But they tasted good at least.
That's what counts. And hey, it's all part of the fun, right?
Exactly. Plus, it's kind of relaxing for me. The measuring, mixing, it's like a little escape from everything else.
I get that. Hobbies are great for that. They're like a little pause button for life.
Totally. So aside from reading, do you have any other hobbies?
I've been trying my hand at journaling. You know, just writing down thoughts, ideas, or even random sketches. It's kind of messy, but it feels good.
Oh, I love that. It's like a way to clear your mind. Do you do it daily?
Not really, just when I feel like it. No pressure, you know?
That's the best way to do it. I think sometimes people feel like hobbies have to be super structured, but they don't.
It's about enjoying yourself, not adding more stress.
Right. Speaking of hobbies, have you ever tried anything totally out of the box? Like something you never thought you'd enjoy?
Oh, you know what? I tried knitting once. My grandma taught me. Let's just say I made a very lopsided scarf. But it was fun while it lasted.
That's what matters. Sometimes it's not about being good at it, just enjoying the process.
Absolutely. It's funny how hobbies can connect people. I was at the library the other day, and I overheard someone talking about one of my favorite books.
Oh, really? What book?
The Night Circus. Have you read it?
Yes. I love that book. It's so magical and mysterious.
Right? I got so excited I ended up joining their conversation. We talked about our favorite parts for almost an hour.
That's awesome. It's like finding a little community, even if it's just for a moment.
And it made me realize how much I love talking about books. Like, it's not just about reading, it's the sharing part that makes it even better.
Totally. I feel the same way about movies. I could talk for hours about a good film.
Oh, me too. What's the last movie you watched that really stuck with you?
Probably Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was so creative and emotional. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days.
Oh, I've been meaning to watch that one. Everyone says it's amazing.
You should. And after you do, let's talk about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Deal. I'll add it to my weekend plans.
Perfect. You know, it's funny how hobbies like reading or watching movies seem so simple, but they really can bring people together.
They really do. It's like they give us a way to connect and share experiences even if we're total strangers.
Exactly. And I think that's why I love storytelling hobbies so much. They're like little bridges between people.
That's such a nice way to put it. Hobbies are definitely more than just passing time.
For sure. And the best part is, everyone has their own unique take on them. Like, no two people experience a book or a movie in the same way.
That's so true. It's what makes talking about them so interesting.
Agreed. So, what's next on your reading list?
I've been eyeing Circe by Madeline Miller. Have you read that one?
Yes. It's beautiful. I think you'll love it.
Can't wait.
You know, talking about hobbies makes me realize how much variety there is. Some people have the most unique hobbies.
Oh, for sure. Like, I once met someone who was really into birdwatching.
Birdwatching? That's interesting. What did they say about it?
They explained how it's not just about spotting birds. It's about the whole experience. Getting up early, going out into nature, and just being quiet and observant.
That sounds peaceful. I guess it's a good way to slow down and enjoy the moment.
And they even had this journal where they sketched the birds they saw. It was impressive.
Wow, that's dedication. I've never thought about birdwatching like that before.
Me neither. But hearing them talk about it made me see how special it can be.
You know, I once met someone who collected vintage postcards.
Postcards? That's so specific.
Yeah, they had this whole collection from the early 1900s. Each one had a little story behind it. They loved imagining the people who wrote them and what their lives were like.
That's actually really cool. It's like a little window into history.
Exactly. And it made me think, hobbies don't have to be big or flashy to be meaningful.
Sometimes it's the simple, unexpected ones that are the most special.
Right. Do you think you'd ever try something unique like that?
I'm not sure. I think it depends on what sparks my interest. But I do love the idea of finding something new and just diving into it.
Yeah, me too. It's like discovering a whole new world you didn't know existed.
Exactly. That's the beauty of hobbies. You never know where they'll take you.
So true. Do you remember the first hobby you ever had?
I was obsessed with drawing. I had this little sketch pad that I carried everywhere.
That's so cute. What did you draw?
Everything. Animals, people, imaginary places. I think I even tried to create my own comic once.
That's impressive. Do you still draw?
Not as much as I used to, but every now and then I'll pick up a pencil and sketch. It's like riding a bike. You never really forget.
I used to love playing with Legos as a kid.
Oh, Legos were the best. Did you build crazy towers or follow the instructions?
A bit of both, but mostly I liked making my own creations. I remember building this whole imaginary town once. It had houses, a tiny park, and even a little cafe.
That's amazing. I feel like hobbies from childhood stick with us in some way.
Yeah, they do. I think they shape how we see the world. Like, I've always loved creating things, and it started with those Legos.
That makes sense. Hobbies kind of show us what we enjoy and what we're naturally drawn to.
Exactly. And even if we don't keep up with them, they leave a mark.
Totally. Like, I think my love for drawing as a kid made me appreciate art and creativity more as an adult.
It's funny how something so simple can have such a lasting impact.
Yeah. And it's a good reminder to keep exploring, even as adults. Who knows what new hobbies we might discover?
You know, one thing I've been struggling with lately is finding time for hobbies. Life just gets so busy sometimes.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Between work, errands, and everything else, it feels like there's no time left for yourself.
Right? I used to love baking, but now I barely have the energy to even think about it.
That's such a shame. Baking is so fun. And delicious.
I know. I miss it. Do you ever feel like that with your hobbies?
Absolutely. But I've learned that you don't need to dedicate hours to a hobby. Sometimes even 10 or 15 minutes can be enough.
That's true. I guess I always think it has to be this big project, but it doesn't, does it?
Not at all. Like, if you love baking, you could start with something simple, like making cookies, or even just decorating cupcakes.
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll try that this weekend.
You should. Hobbies don't always have to be separate from everything else, they can blend into your daily life. And honestly, even just a little bit of time for something you enjoy can make a big difference in your day.
Finding time for hobbies is hard. Life can get so hectic and it's hard to fit them in.
Oh, I get that. It's definitely a challenge when you're juggling work, responsibilities, and everything else.
Exactly. Sometimes I feel guilty spending time on a hobby when there's so much to do.
That's a common feeling. But I think hobbies are actually really important. They're not just for fun, they help you recharge and stay balanced.
That's true. I do feel better when I make time for something I enjoy.
And it doesn't have to be hours every day. Even 10 or 15 minutes can make a difference.
That's a good point. So how do you personally make time for your hobbies?
I try to treat them like appointments. I'll block out a little time in my schedule and stick to it, even if it's just a short window.
That's smart. I guess if you don't prioritize it, it's easy to let it slide.
Totally. And I also remind myself that it's okay to take a break and do something just for me. It actually makes me more productive in the long run.
Yeah, I can see that. When you're constantly working or dealing with responsibilities, it's easy to burn out.
Hobbies can be a great way to reset your mind and come back to everything else feeling refreshed.
You're really convincing me to rethink how I approach this.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just start small and see how it feels.
I will. Maybe I'll start by dedicating one evening a week to something fun.
That's a great idea. Once it becomes a habit, It'll feel so natural to make time for yourself.
Thanks for the advice. I feel like I've been overcomplicating it.
It happens to all of us. But once you let go of the pressure and just enjoy the moment, it makes a huge difference.
You're right. I think I'm going to give it a try this week.
That's the spirit. I'm sure you'll find it so rewarding.
This was such a great conversation. I feel so motivated to make more time for my hobbies now.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's always nice to talk about these things and share ideas.
Definitely. Thanks for all the advice and encouragement.
Anytime. Let me know how it goes with your hobby time.
I will. And hey, we should do this again soon. Just chat and catch up.
Absolutely. Take care, Leah.
You too, Emily. Bye.